2015's Bloodborne is a game of many mysteries, as is made evident by the literal hundreds of videos breaking down, analyzing, and trying to decipher the opaque and intentionally obscure lore of the world our intrepid hunter must navigate. A world characterized by unfathomable eldritch forces from beyond the cosmos, compounded by the all-too-familiar follies, failings, and foulness of man. Today, we delve into one of the longest-standing, and indeed most layered mysteries within Bloodborne. That being the character of the Plain Doll. When you first enter the hunter's dream, you are greeted at first by the sight of the workshop perched upon its hill. The row of graves lining the stairway leading up to the workshop entrance, as well as a path off to the left, also lined with graves. Immediately to the left of the stairs, however, you will notice a doll sitting there. You could say life-sized, although upon seeing her upright, you realize she's almost a foot taller than the player character. So she's absolutely gargantuan. This mysterious porcelain doll, upon gaining insight, seemingly comes to life and begins to speak to you, serving as your only source of true comfort and companionship throughout the horrible, horrible night that awaits our hunter in Yharnam. It is through the doll that the hunter is able to level up and increase their strength, and as the night wears on, it quickly becomes clear that the doll seems to know more than she is letting on. However, that particular aspect of her we'll cover another time. For right now, on today's episode of Elithias Gnosi, we're going to explore the doll's identity and origins, as well as the character to whom the doll is intrinsically tied to, being Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. I am the Fanatical Warlock, joined here by my lovely co-host, a Kawaii Potato.
Hello.
Take it away.
So, this is actually a theory that I came up with. So, the doll was tenderly made with love by Gurman. Obviously, she's based on his former student, Lady Maria. Maria was a student that Gurman had developed feelings for.
He had a curious mania.
Yes. He had developed immense feelings for this woman, which I'm pretty sure she didn't fully realize to the extent.
She didn't realize that he probably wanted her to step on him.
Yeah, no, he more than likely didn't. Like, she more than likely did not realize that he felt that strongly.
I mean, to be fair, I'd want Maria to step on me. How about you?
I mean, no. She rips at your heart. Man, I don't want that.
Well, no, that's the boss Maria, right?
Anyway.
We're getting there.
The doll is exactly like Maria. The same size and appearance. She even wears Maria's favorite flower. The lumen flower is found all over the doll's clothing. So, she is definitely modeled after Maria. And at a glance, it seems like that's all she is. Just a doll made by a crazy person that is of someone that they loved. Mm-hmm. But
he also invites you to use the doll, if it please you.
However, the technology of the time, given the world of Bloodborne, means that in order to create this doll, it is a far greater task than anyone could possibly imagine.
Would we like to elaborate on the time period we have essentially come up with for Bloodborne?
Yes. So given the aesthetics of how everything looks, it looks to be probably sometime in the Victorian era or close to the end of the Victorian era.
Exactly. The use of firearms quite extensively further supports this.
Yes.
We're closer to the end of the 19th century than we are to the beginning, given the prevalence of things such as Gatling guns and other, cool, dang, how do you even come up with this shit weapons?
Exactly.
The whirligig saw. Big old pizza cutter.
That's exactly what that is. But at the same time, it's still not technologically advanced to be able to do stuff like this effectively. It's just not. So, for the doll of this size and of this quality, it would have to be made of porcelain, or hand-carved, or hand-sculpted. For hand carving and hand sculpting, that would require the aid of a very skilled artist or Gurman himself doing it, and that right there would require photographs or paintings of Maria, or Maria holding still for them to do this. I don't see Maria holding still for them to be able to sculpt her or carve her at all. I think that right there would be a major red flag for like anybody.
I mean, she seems to be unable to hold still for a painting, which, considering that she's nobility, would more than likely they'd try to include her in paintings. But if she's all like, no, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Exactly. She's not going to be there at all for sculpting or carving. So the other way that you do porcelain, because you can sculpt it like clay, is with a mold.
Yes.
The doll's face is almost identical to Maria's, with one slight exception. The cheeks aren't as full.
It's a bit thinner. The features are slightly shrunken. This is a feature of porcelain firing.
It is. So, my theory is that the doll is quite literally Maria.
In a lot more ways than one.
Yes. So, upon Maria's death, whether she was murdered or killed herself, more than likely she killed herself.
Yeah, I mean, if I did even half the shit Maria's done, I'd be pretty suicidal too.
Exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure she killed herself. So upon finding this out, because the fact he's tight with Lawrence...
Lawrence.
He more than likely was... He was more than likely granted access to the body and had it quickly gotten there before it got too decomposed. Lawrence is like, okay, like... Sure, we've already...
Have at it.
We've already killed everyone at Canehurst that could possibly care about her, so... There you go?
Exactly. We've also drained her of her blood, so have at it, bro.
There you go. And so, he then had this ability... This entire dead body, to use it as a mold-making tool, to mold her face, her hands, arms, breasts, whatever have you that he may want of Maria to be perfectly porcelain.
Vulva?
Hey, man, I don't know, maybe. I'm not judging, okay?
I mean, he does offer to let you use the doll.
Exactly, but I'm not...
please you.
Dear Jesus. Anyway... So using her body, he more than likely made a mold of Maria and then used porcelain, which would explain why certain features of the doll don't look quite like Maria, because porcelain, when making porcelain, it is a clay chemical mixture put into a mold, and you let it dry and harden on its own a little bit before you take it out of the mold. And it shrinks a little bit in that process.
Then firing it, it shrinks further.
It does. It still retains the shape, but it does actually shrink. Sometimes it can get thinner, sometimes it can just get smaller as a whole. It just depends upon the size of the item and how, like, the quality of the porcelain itself.
Exactly. So if you're a novice kind of trying to do DIY porcelain molding, like Gurman presumably was, you might get stuff like features being warped ever so slightly, like the cheeks being thinner than they should be.
Exactly. Another thing that supports the fact that she is porcelain is actually the doll's face. Around her lips, the tip of her nose, and even somewhere right around her eyes, there's a slight, ever so slight tint of green, which is actually the color of porcelain.
That is the true color of porcelain.
It's green, which more than likely means that he did a one firing technique, which is where you take the uncooked porcelain and you put the coloring and pigment and all that on there, and the glaze, and then you bake it once. You fire the thing once at 1,400 degrees, and you're good.
It's hot.
Yeah. Porcelain takes a minimum of 1,000.
It's like, yo, Dura, let's figure this out. And Dura's like, all right, bro, I got you. I owe you a favor. Let's figure out how to get shit hot up in this. And that's how that's how the flame sprayer was invented.
Honestly, it would not surprise me, though.
Obviously joking.
I know, but it would not surprise me if you had people help him figure out how to get a kiln going. Mm-hmm. You know?
Maybe that's how the abandoned old workshop in the real world seemingly caught fire. No, that's actually a common misconception. It doesn't actually look like it was burned down. It just looks like it's been abandoned and in disrepair.
It doesn't take long for buildings to get like that, depending upon how often people go there.
Which, I mean, after you build the giant-ass church workshop tower right in front of it, kind of becomes superfluous after a while. Especially once the dream was made.
Yeah.
Because then any and all workshop hunters are now dream hunters, which means you have these freaking immortal psychopaths becoming superhuman running around and they can't die.
Yes.
Every time you kill them, they just suddenly wake back up and it was just a dream.
That's gotta make their job way easier, actually.
Yeah. Like, and it is actually implied that it's them waking up from dying down in the dream.
Yeah.
Because anytime you go to a headstone, it says awaken above ground. Which is why the hunter's dream is so strange looking. It's in this floating in the middle of this void with these strange pillars in the distance. The hunter's dream is actually the lowest dimensional layer you can access in Bloodborne.
Cool. Now, get back onto the doll.
My waifu.
Yes.
I just want her to hold me close and cuddles me and tells me it is Dookie.
It's Dookie. And you want her to bring cookies and hot cocoa?
Yes.
After like a hunt, just like, here you go.
Yep. And push me around in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And pat me on the head.
So you might be wondering, well, okay, so the outside of her is porcelain. What about the rest of her, right? Like, it had to have ended at the porcelain, right? No, given the technology of the time and the fact that I've actually made dolls before, I know what goes into making these things. So with a porcelain doll, especially one that has a lot of porcelain that would be moving quite a bit, you need actual joints or a lot of fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, if there's a lot of fabric with that much weight from that much porcelain, you need internal supports.
Because that doll would be heavy.
It would be very heavy.
She's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that doll would be quite heavy. So you're going to need internal supports as well as cushioning. So normal stuff such as wood and sawdust and cotton. But
there is a very key feature of large porcelain dolls. That being the fact that they have a skeleton of sorts, don't they?
They do have a skeleton of sorts. In fact, it kind of looks like a basically think of like a stick figure, but like with a hip. Okay? And if it's one that has to move and be posable, they have ball joints. The doll does not have visible ball joints on the outside of her body. She doesn't. And even if she did, the technology to make ball joints of that size that Gurman just had access to is not at all common. Like, ball joints at the time period were like wooden beads, just with string. Like, that's what they were for dolls. Which means that her joints for this doll would have to be Maria's actual joints, more than likely taken out, cured, attached to wood or whatever, even the entire bone, just what was needed to give it that, I guess, strength to be able to withhold all that weight and not just collapse and break.
Yep.
So that right there's what would have been needed.
This would be what this sort of grave plundering, as it were, would be the reason why you see a discarded bone just laying on top of the grave, getting rid of the parts that may not have been fully necessary.
Exactly. It would also explain why that particular grave, if it is indeed a full grave, is so small.
Yeah, there's barely enough room. Like, there's about room for, like, maybe 2/3 of the player character's the length of the player character's body laying at the head of the stone where it is, before, like,
it meets the path.
Basically, your knees down are on the path. And if Maria is presumably buried there, it'd be like you'd be stepping on her, on her hips and waist by walking down the path. Which you don't bury bodies like that. It's so disrespectful.
Exactly. And given how much Gurman loved her, he would not have done that.
Exactly.
No.
So, the idea being that, assuming he kept her intact. Now, he wouldn't mind at all desecrating the body if in his mind he's creating a new Maria. So, he doesn't need the old body, but he'll still leave a marker there.
Exactly. He more than likely also used her actual hair for the doll's hair, seeing as how synthetic fibers were not really a thing. Like, you couldn't get fake hair at this time. No, you used real people's hair. Whether they be from dead people, or people that just decided to sell it, or whatever. Like, selling your hair for people to make wigs was a very profitable thing, because you couldn't get synthetic hair.
It still kind of is, actually.
I know it is, but back then it was like, since it was impossible to make hair other than growing it, it was an incredibly profitable thing to do.
Maybe I should grow out my hair and donate it to wig making.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that if you want. I mean,
considering you seem to sing the praises of my hair quality all the time.
Your hair is amazing.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. That's right, ladies.
Dear Jesus.
Silky smooth locks.
Now,
luscious.
You might be asking yourself, okay, but why would Gurman do this? That's crazy. Like, he loved this person. Why would he go out of his way to desecrate the corpse and do all this and do all that if it's just to make a doll? Because it's more than just a doll.
It's not love either.
No.
Gurman is obsessed with her.
Yeah, and there's more to it than just a doll. So the doll's clothing, right? This way here is actually important. The doll's clothing has lumen flowers on it, which is Maria's favorite flower.
It's not lumen flowers, it's cold blood flowers, but it's still the same flower design as appears.
Exactly.
The same flower design appears on both Maria's set as well as the doll set.
Yes.
Furthermore, the doll set, as far as like its aesthetics and like just how it seems to be made,
it's a higher quality.
It's very like it is also very clearly very similar to all of the Canehurst clothing you can find.
Yes.
The night set or the Bordeaux dress, Maria's set.
Yes. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's just aesthetic choice. No, you don't understand. If this is indeed a Victorian-esque time period, obviously it's not going to be exact because video game. Mm-hmm. Lace and frill, anything beautiful like that was insanely expensive.
Like an entire 6 months of what you make for a single yard.
Yeah, there was a reason why only nobles or people that come from wealth had it. It's actually one of the reasons why today crochet is as popular as it is, because people figured out if they could make it, they could actually get it. Otherwise, it was impossible to get it.
Yep.
So the doll's dress, having the lace around the edges and the beautiful trim on the shawl, I mean, I suppose Gurman could have saved up whatever kind of hunter salary he had, which I don't...
That is a different conversation that we will have. I want to know the exact pay rate of being a hunter.
Theoretically, he could have saved up and gotten all of that. He could have gotten that lace, the beautiful fabric, the shawl, the jewelry.
My personal headcanon is that Gurman, before he became the first hunter, was like the groundskeeper for Bergenworth College. And that's why they were able to hit him up and be like, hey, you want to help us commit some war crimes? Because think about it. He uses a giant scythe. Seems to be very outdoorsy, athletic. He's in good shape. I mean, come on.
Another time.
How do you think he got so good with the burial blade? He's mowing that Bergenworth grass all day.
Anyway, the reason why I mentioned all of this about the clothing is because the easiest way for Gurman to dress this doll that is the same size and appearance as Maria is with Maria's clothes. Yeah. It has her favorite flower on it. It has all the markings of someone that comes from nobility, because she's a relative of the queen. She comes from the noble. She's a lady.
She's from Canehurst.
She's Lady Maria. There is some form of money. She would be able to afford the lovely brooches and the necklaces and the lace and that lovely shawl.
She's able to afford a excellently forged katana with a saber guard and handle.
Exactly. She can afford that.
After all, the Rikuyo has been folded 1,000,000 times. Can bisect a knight in full plate with a single stroke.
Jesus. Anyway, the reason why the doll having Maria's actual physical hair and bone and her actual clothing is necessary for Gurman is because he didn't need this to be just a doll. Because if it was just a doll, he could have done that the moment she left. Mm-hmm. Like, the moment she left, he could have started. But most of us agree that it was after Maria died that he made the doll, because he needed it to be Maria.
Exactly.
He went out of his way to try and create, well, I guess, a haunted doll. In modern day times, we would consider them haunted dolls.
The idea is that by incorporating the pieces of her her hair, her bones, her clothing. The idea is that it would imbue a piece of Maria's essence into the doll. Now, this sort of thing, even in traditional folklore where these concepts are taken from,
yes,
is super weak. At most, the doll will move from one part of the house to the other on their own, or maybe move a single object.
Or they might manipulate things like televisions, or they might whisper to you, but you have to have special recording devices. And even then, if you don't need that, it's only very specific people that can hear them.
Exactly. So presumably, this was Gurman's thinking. And even if it had that effect or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just where Gurman was at when this happened. However, this is not quite reality. Because in the world of Bloodborne, as I mentioned, there's quite a bit more going on than just, the principles of nature. So here's where we get into my personal addition to Potato's theory here.
Yes.
So this is where I came in and helped her out. This definitely actually holds water when you take into the factor of the doll's presence within the dream. So what may have happened, right? Gurman created the doll and just kind of kept it around as, to take Maria's place in his heart. And maybe some other things if using the doll did please him.
Yeah.
But basically what I'm saying is that there's most likely a fleshlight between the doll's legs. I'm just going to say it outright.
Yeah, no, that's giving
that
Gurman...
was a thing in the Victorian time period, too.
Oh, yes. The Victorian time period is far more kinky than anyone could possibly imagine. If you go back and do history on it, it's dear Jesus.
Yeah, especially among the nobility.
Yes. Especially among the nobility.
Masked orgies were a thing, and they were frequent amongst the wealthy.
It was quite common to have a children's section of the park where you had to that's only where your children were allowed, because it was so common to find people doing the nasty in the park that they had to have separate sections. Guys, this is the only safe place to be.
Children, whatever you do not go outside the borders of this fence. Trust me, you will not be able to unsee what you will see.
Exactly.
And then, of course, a little boy named Jack decided to not heed his parents' warning, and that's how Jack the Ripper happened. Because he saw some titty as a little boy, and he's like, must kill.
Oh, dear Jesus.
Joking aside. But no, joking aside. So when you have those elements, now here's where the most interesting aspect is. Specifically, in terms of the relationship between the blood and the soul. Because, believe it or not, there is one. Mm-hmm. In ancient Rome, they believed that the blood actually contained the soul of an individual. This would result in the wealthy literally paying gladiators for, just a sample of their blood to drink and try and absorb the gladiator's strength.
Yes.
Now, don't try this at home, people. At best, it's just gonna do nothing for you. At worst, that's how you get hepatitis or other blood diseases.
Yeah, don't do that, guys.
It's not good, trust me.
Not good.
But, going by this, if it is in fact Maria's bones specifically inside of the doll,
that means there's her marrow.
That means that the bone marrow is in there, which would give a grabbing point. So, what I propose happened is when Lawrence and Gurman did their thing in order to beckon the moon presence and create the hunter's dream and make whatever contract they made with her. A side effect of this, in order to help grant Gurman's desires or make his stay in the dream more bearable, a part of the contract may have been Gurman, beseeching of the moon presence to bring Maria into the doll.
Yes.
Now, I fully believe that this would easily be within the realm of possibility for a great one to do.
Oh yeah, no, because if Maria's already dead and her spirit's just floating around, that's not that difficult, in my opinion.
However, as it turns out, there's a slight complication. You see, since Maria was not only a hunter, but also directly involved in the events that happened, upon her death, Lady Maria was pulled into the hunter's nightmare to suffer the vengeance of Kos and her orphan.
Yes.
So, Flora, trying to honor the contract, attempted to pull Maria out of there. Now, as you can probably imagine, Kos was, shall we say, not having it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame Kos either for being like, yeah, no, you're not having her. She's staying right here. She did some things she should not have done.
So she will suffer. But the moon presence is like, I don't give a crap.
My baby says he needs this. Give it to me now.
Exactly. So the ensuing tug of war over Maria's soul, right? Essentially, what happened is Flora was only able to pull a fragment of Maria's essence. This being the kind and nurturing, motherly side of Maria.
Because that did exist.
Because Maria herself is she is a person. She's a fully realized individual. There's the side of her that is the hunter, the brutal murderer, the expert warrior, the, vile blood of Canehurst, able to use the blood arts and ancient techniques, right? All of that, the malice, the hunter, the vile blood, all of those are embodied in the form of the Maria you fight as the boss, Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. However, there is another side to Maria, the side that is more gentle, more loving, more kind. The side that cared and tended to the patients within the research hall to ease their suffering.
Yes.
To try and, convince people, don't do this, guys, come on.
Don't listen to them.
Adelaide was like, I want to be a blood saint, and Maria was like, no. You don't want to be a blood saint, trust me. And she's like, but I want to be a blood saint. And then Adelaide became a blood saint, and Maria was like, oh my god, oh, what did you do? Okay, well, if this is going to be the case, then here. And gave her the key to the balcony so that she could sit out there and, smell the lumen flowers in the lumen flower garden below and help ease Adelaide's suffering, right? As Lawrence continued his work to try and cure Alzheimer's, it's not what was happening.
It's not at all what's happening.
Yeah, no.
They lied to their patients hardcore.
Yeah, no, the ethics committee would have not approved. That's why Lawrence had to leave Bergenworth. That's a Snack Covenant reference for all of you. But yeah, so there is that side of Maria. And the real Maria in life was the combination of the two. Maria actively shunned using the blood arts. So yes. If you think about it, the Maria you face in the Astral Clock Tower is actually, it's almost like she's like the perfect embodiment of every part of Maria that, every part of herself that she hates and she fears and she rejects.
Yes.
However, what would be the other half that you would expect to be intact, you would expect that to be the doll, right? However, the doll doesn't have any of Maria's memories.
No, the doll has no memories.
Exactly. All she has is Maria's kind and nurturing nature. The reason for this, as Potato here has consistently, repeatedly hammering home the connection between the winter lanterns being fragments or reflections of the doll, we have finally managed
come up with something that explains it.
To come up with a way that explains that aspect and still incorporates and makes sense with everything else we know. So, going by our theory that the doll is the result of a sort of tug of war between the moon presence and Kos over Maria, all of the negative, parts of herself that she feared and hated were left behind in the Hunter's nightmare. However, the positive, nurturing, motherly aspects weren't able to be extracted intact. If you think about it, like actually pulling apart on a, pulling apart anything really. When it eventually snaps, it's not necessarily perfectly in half. There's also the chance that other pieces will be broken off.
Yeah.
These pieces were flung throughout the nightmare, from the actual Astral Clock Tower room up, landing in the fishing hamlet, in the Nightmare Frontier, and the Nightmare of Mensis.
Yes.
These fragments were influenced, as part of her, motherly reflection. would resemble the doll. However, because they are in the nightmare, that means that there is a chance for them to be corrupted, which, starting with those that went to Mensis, they were. For there in the nightmare of Mensis, they came across the brain. Now, the brain of Mensis is a fairly interesting case. It is, by the description of the living string, as well as even in the Japanese, considered a legitimate great one. However, this isn't completely accurate. Basically, the brain of Mensis is to Lauren what Rom is to Yarnum and Bergenworth. It's the proto-great one, the not all the way there.
Yeah.
Whatever the brain of Mensis is, it got further than Rom, but still it was terribly rotten, right? And so thus, it is fully a great one, but it's, now it's not lucid. It's, it can't really do anything but observe.
It's a couch potato.
And watch and inflict frenzy.
Yeah, it inflicts frenzy because it can't do anything else. It's like, you know what? I'm too lazy to move, so I'm just going to make you go crazy.
It's not even active. It's the implication is that by looking at it or sitting in the orange light given off by it, it drives you insane because you are looking at an unfiltered great one.
Oh, yeah, no, that right there would drive you crazy. Like,
so
don't do that.
Being influenced and corrupted by this, these dolls, or like these sort of pieces of Maria, wind up becoming essentially pieces of the brain of Mensis, creating, the miniature brains engulfing their heads. This is also reminiscent of the head patients in the research hall, you know? So, which might explain where the winter lanterns come from. At least that's our best guess.
Yeah, because they look like the doll, they sound like the doll.
In like a very distorted, twisted, spooky, nightmare fuel way.
But they look too much like the doll to just be nothing.
Every time I hear that goddamn humming, my sphincter clenches into... Oh, God. It's a miracle it hasn't induced nuclear fusion, the sheer compression induced.
Yeah, but no, like, he wasn't able to get the full soul because Koss has the other half. And that's actually one of the reasons why Gurman grew so indifferent of the doll. Because, yeah, it looks like Maria. Yeah, it sounds like Maria. But it's not Maria.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Like, he made this thing to be Maria.
And it wasn't. Moon Presence didn't fulfill her end of the bargain. And then when Gurman complained about it, she's like, well, I mean,
you shouldn't have killed her.
Sucks to suck, but, yeah, you shouldn't have killed Koss. Like, dude, you never told me that was a thing. So, I guess, we both kind of, we've both been, not been able to really uphold who we say we are. So, yeah.
And that's my argument as to why the doll is actually Maria.
Exactly.
Like, given the technology of the time, it would make the most logical sense for her clothing, her hair, to be Maria's actual clothes and Maria's actual hair. Because you can't make synthetic hair. To make a face that perfect, it would have to be Maria holding still, or a mold of Maria's dead face. Or Maria holding still as they make a mold of her face, which, once again, I don't think she would willingly do that.
Yeah, no, it's like Gurman brings it up, she's like, why? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it, really. It's just for things. Stuff and things.
Your Gurman impression is hilarious. Anyway.
Tonight, Gurman joins the hunt. Smash Bros. Ultimate theme starts playing.
Oh my god.
Gurman joins the hunt.
Anyway, her joints being used as the actual joints in the doll also makes sense because, like I said, given the time period, getting proper ball joints for a doll of that size is like next to impossible. They don't have 3D printing technology. No. Like, they can't just do this stuff. They have to be creative. And with how macabre and disturbed the Victorian time period is already...
Not only that, Gurman is just a genuine, like, fucking psychopath.
Exactly. Like, the combination of the two, it lends itself perfectly for this kind of thing to occur.
And frankly, I don't hear anybody else coming up with any better attempts to tie all the stuff about the doll together, so...
No. The doll's my favorite character because she's so sweet and precious.
She's like you.
Yeah, kind of.
Like I said in the intro narration, she's your only true friend in the entire game. Everyone else either goes crazy and dies, or goes crazy and betrays you and then dies, or hates you and tries to kill you.
Or just is completely indifferent, is like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna be over here now.
Yeah. Or they're like, screw off. That and, okay, no, not just the doll and the chapel dweller. The only two good people in the game.
Yeah, but like...
The chapel dweller is he's just such a good guy.
They're both the kind of people that would offer you hot cocoa.
Exactly.
He'd be
the chapel dweller would, if he had cocoa, he would offer it to you before drinking it himself.
Exactly.
He's just like, he just wants friends.
Exactly. And then the doll is like, you know what?
I do love you. She loves you unconditionally.
She's like, you are a good hunter. A good hunter. Here, let me get you some cookies and some cocoa and...
She even...
And have the little sit down over here.
On rare occasions, she'll be at Maria's grave in the dream and praying to the moon presence to protect the hunter.
Yes.
She is legit praying for your safety and well-being, and also prays that, you will see the light of day and that this dream will eventually become a distant, fond memory.
Because she loves every single hunter that comes to it. Because she believes it's her purpose, is to tend to the hunters and all of their needs. It's what her purpose is in life. She has no memories. Mm-hmm. She has no other purpose.
Exactly.
She's just there in the dream.
She was literally created to give comfort. So
yes.
She does.
Exactly. And she takes great joy and pride in it.
Yep.
The doll's adorable.
Eileen even says when she kills you, like if you accidentally aggro her and she kills you, she says, "You still dream. Tell the little doll I said hello."
Yeah. All the hunters have fond memories of the doll because she's so sweet.
Exactly.
She's like, here's cookies and cocoa. Go have a seat.
I wouldn't be surprised if she actually does bake cookies.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, here's cookies and cocoa. Like, she's super sweet.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Gurman still hasn't gone out to get new ingredients, so she can't really make any.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad, but hey.
God, what a lazy piece of shit Gurman is.
I mean, to be fair, Lawrence hasn't come back yet, so...
Yeah.
I mean...
Lawrence is like the absentee dad. Lawrence left for milk and never came back. Lawrence is like, all right, Gurman, don't worry. We're gonna... It's like, all right, Gurman, I'm stepping out. I'm gonna get a pack of cigarettes, and I'm also gonna find a baby great one. So I'll be right back. He never came back.
Yeah, no. But... Oh,
of course, he never came back because he went down to the labyrinth, turned into the, bloodletting beast, and then, Ludwig killed him and cut off his head. But that is for another episode, and don't you worry, that episode is coming. Ludwig killed Lawrence. Pass it on.
Okay, so, on to things that the doll has said. So
any of you listening who have social media, spam that phrase at Richard Pilbeam. Ludwig killed Lawrence. At Jerk Sans Frontier. At Jerk Sans Frontières.
Don't do that, please. Be nice. Anyway, so the doll has, like, there's some interactions. You find her at the grave and she's praying over the hunter, and then she says that she feels like, from deep within, like she's been freed from heavy shackles
once you kill Maria.
Which would make sense if her soul was literally splintered due to a tug of war.
And the part of Maria you fight is literally every part of her that she hates about herself.
Exactly. You freed her
So by killing that, you freed her.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody literally going into your head and killing the manifestation of your self-loathing and doubt. You'd feel free.
You'd feel amazing.
Yeah.
So
I wish somebody would do that for me. It would help so much.
And then the other thing, this is just another personal thing that I thought of actually today. The small hair ornament that you get from the doll in the workshop that you give to the doll in the dream. She gets all emotional and she's like, I don't remember anything, but she feels something, and she's like, is this joy, right?
She's been given a gift.
She's been given a gift.
She's never had a gift before, probably.
My personal thing that I believe...
She gave all those hunters cookies, leveled them up. Got you to, got me to my 60 arcane, just obliterator of worlds, face-melting holy moonlight blade.
Yeah.
Annihilator of everything. And presumably she's done that for many others, but they've never really given her anything in return. So when you find the hair ornament and you bring it to her, she's like, oh my gosh.
She's like, oh my goodness. Oh my gracious, this is a gift. Yay! And anyway, so the actual full quote. So when you give her the small hair ornament, she says, What is this? I can't remember. Not a thing. Only I feel a yearning. Something I've never felt before. What's happening to me? Tell me, Hunter, could this be joy? And then she sheds the tear. My personal belief, because you get this off the doll in the workshop, when you go and find the workshop in the waking world, is that this small hair ornament may have been something that Gurman gave to Maria before she left, right? Like, before the fishing hamlet incident, like, because he's obviously fallen for this woman. He's like, here, I got this for you. It's this nice little gift. And because the fact that she doesn't fully understand.
Simping for Maria.
And because the fact that she more than likely doesn't fully understand that he's that into her.
That he's a simp for her.
She just accepts it. Like, I would blindly accept
Gurman is a simp.
Like, it's a gift. It's a gift from my teacher. That's a lovely hair ornament. I'm gonna keep it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it just makes sense. But after everything happens and she leaves, and she's grown disgusted with everything.
She leaves it behind at the workshop.
She leaves it behind at the workshop. She wants nothing more to do with it. She throws the Rikuyo, she leaves the thing there, and she just leaves.
Well, actually, so what really happened is, you see, at the fishing hamlet, everybody was a little drunk in the after party, right? So Maria decided to, in the heat of the moment, she just, like, stripped off and, like, was dancing topless around the fishing hamlet well. When all of a sudden she tripped and fell in, and the Rikuyo fell off of her. And she had a sobering moment of clarity and realized what the hell was she doing. So she ran out of there. She jumped up onto the ledge, ran into the caves, and just didn't bother checking to see whether she had her Rikuyo with her or not. And she's got out of there and never showed her face at the workshop ever again.
I mean, I highly doubt that, but...
This is canon.
No.
Miyazaki told me.
No.
My uncle works at Nintendo,
no.
Guys. It's true.
Anyway. No, I believe the hair ornament was a gift to Maria that she intentionally left behind.
That she returned
upon leaving. And then that would also explain why it's on the doll in the first place. Because if it was something that Gurman gave to Maria.
Or no, it's in the dresser. It's in, like, the dresser.
Either way, it's for the doll.
Yes.
It's for the doll. If it's not on the doll, if it's nearby even, doesn't matter. It is. It is. It's for the doll. It holds a far more, I guess, significance to her than what she realized, because she has no memories. This is a fragment of Maria. She doesn't have any full memories at all. All she knows is the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
This yearning.
Yeah.
This happiness.
It may not even necessarily have been a gift from Gurman. It may actually have been a gift from her childhood.
It may have been.
That she left behind.
Who knows? I believe it was just something important to Maria that may have been left behind at the workshop.
Or Gurman may have stolen it.
Yeah, Gurman may have stolen it. And
kept it in the drawer and would sniff it while doing things.
Oh, God. I mean...
Oh, yes.
It would not surprise me, but, like... Oh, God.
Gurman's a creepy dude.
He really is. Like, you see him in the game, he's just some old dude in a wheelchair.
And he lies about being disabled. Who the fuck does that? He's like, oh, yes, I'm trapped in this wheelchair. Then you refuse to let him free you from the dream by cutting your head off. And he's like, oh, you don't want to go, huh? Well, guess what? He stands up. He's like, I'm not really disabled. Surprise, motherfucker. And then he proceeds to absolutely destroy you.
Yeah, he does.
I was not ready. Top 10 anime betrayals.
Anyway. But no, I feel like it was something that was given to Maria that was important to her, that she loved, and that was either left there intentionally or by accident or was stolen. And so reuniting it with the doll, even though the memories may not be there, it's still important to her.
The feeling.
Yeah, the feeling is there.
It stirs something from deep within her.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the memory, but it's the echo of a memory.
Yes.
Much like the echoes of blood, the ancient echoes coursing through your veins by the time you reach the end game. Mm-hmm. And if you happen to have consumed the insight and eaten 3 third chords, upon absorbing the most ancient of all echoes, you ascend.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, that right there is, I think, all of that I currently have for my proof of why Maria and the doll are linked. Like, it's more than just appearance, and it's more than just, oh, she was made after Maria. No, it was Gurman's attempt to bring back Maria.
To make his own Maria.
To make Maria.
He could rebuild her. He has the technology.
Exactly.
He can make her stronger, faster, smarter, better. The $6 million doll. Holy crap. I'm not even old. It's just, oh God, my parents would always do that. So yes, I do know about the $6 million man. Look it up, kids.
Anyway, that's all I have.
Well, that was why the doll is Maria in a lot more ways than you might think. Thank you so much for listening to this absolute whatever it is. We greatly appreciate the views. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to listen to us ramble about these things. After all,
yes.
We're called Aletheos Gnosi, which is stupid knowledge in Greek.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we peddle here. Nothing but stupid knowledge.
It will never serve you
so
at all.
Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.